My mother called me, screaming at me. Everyone is asking why your face is on Forbes magazine claiming you're a millionaire CEO. I took a sip of my coffee and said 5 words that changed her thinking. Because I am, Mum. The phone call came at 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night. And I knew, before I even looked at the screen that it was going to ruin something. Mum flashed across my iPhone, and my stomach dropped like a stone. I was standing in my bedroom, halfway through packing for what was supposed to be the most important week of my career. Clothes were spread across my bed. My laptop sat open with flight confirmations glowing on the screen. And now, this. My name is Emma Harrison. I'm 31 years old, and for the past 14 years, I've been the family punching bag disguised as the helpful daughter. I answered the call. Emma! My mother's voice cut through like ice. No hello. No how are you? Just my name, spoken like an accusation. Hi, Mom. I need you home tomorrow by noon. Your sister Olivia is hosting a networking dinner on Thursday evening. 28 guests. Very important people from her advertising agency. And some major clients. You'll be cooking. I closed my eyes. Here we go again. Mom, I can't. I have... Cancel whatever little plans you have. Her tone shifted into that familiar drill sergeant command that had controlled me since I was 16. Olivia's career is on the line here. This dinner could secure her promotion to senior account director. We're talking about executives from Meridian Technologies. Do you understand what that means? I understood perfectly. It meant that once again, my little sister's ambitions mattered more than anything I had going on. It meant I was expected to drop everything, drive 3 hours to our family estate in Westchester, and spend 2 days cooking elaborate meals while Olivia played hostess in designer clothes our parents bought her. I have a business trip, I said quietly. To Miami. It's not something I can reschedule. My mother laughed. Actually, laughed. A business trip. Emma, sweetheart, let's not pretend. We all know you do some part-time event work here and there. Whatever catering gig you've picked up can wait. This is family. Catering gig. The words hung in the air like poison. I looked down at my suitcase, at the navy blazer I'd just folded. The one I was planning to wear when I signed the biggest contract of my life. $3.2 million with Meridian Hospitality Group. The same Meridian my mother had just mentioned, though she had no idea they owned a massive hotel and resort division. Emma, are you listening to me? Yes, Mom. Good. I'm texting you the menu now. 7 courses. Olivia wants to impress these people, and you know how to make food look fancy. Use the Bernardeau china, the white set with the gold rim. And for God's sake, don't undercook the beef like you did at Thanksgiving. The beef at Thanksgiving had been perfect, but Olivia had complained it was too rare because she wanted something to criticize. She always did. I'll also need you to arrange the flowers, Mom continued. Something elegant, but not too showy. You have good taste in that area at least. Oh, and make sure you stay in the kitchen during cocktail hour. These are Olivia's contacts. We don't want them confused about who's who in this family. There it was, the thing that had cut me deeper than any knife over the years. Stay in the kitchen. Don't be seen. You're the help, not the success story. Mom, I really can't do this. My flight leaves tomorrow at 7 p.m. Silence. Then her voice went cold. If you don't show up, Emma, don't bother coming back for Christmas, or Easter, or anything else. I'm done making excuses for you to the family. Everyone already thinks you're flaky and unreliable. Don't prove them right. My hands were shaking now, but not from fear. From something else entirely. Something that had been building for 14 years and was finally reaching its breaking point. What if I told you, I said slowly, that my business trip is worth more than Olivia's entire annual salary? Another laugh. Oh, Emma, this is sad. I know you struggle with feeling less accomplished than your sister, but lying isn't the answer. Now, I expect you here by noon tomorrow. Don't disappoint us. She hung up. I stared at my phone, my heart pounding. Then I looked at my laptop screen, at the email from Rebecca Winters, CEO of Meridian Hospitality Group. The subject line read, Final Contract Review Meeting, Thursday 9 a.m. Cannot reschedule. Rebecca was flying in from London specifically for this meeting. If I didn't show up, the deal would go to my competitor, a boutique firm that had been circling this contract like vultures for months. This wasn't just about money. This was about everything I'd built. See, here's what my family didn't know. What they'd never bothered to ask about in all these years. I wasn't doing part-time event work. I owned Apex Event Designs, a full-scale luxury event planning and catering company with 63 employees across 4 locations. We'd done events for Fortune 500 companies, celebrity weddings, presidential fundraisers. Last year, we pulled in $8.4 million in revenue, and I built it all without a single dollar from my family, without using the Harrison name, without their connections, their money, or their approval. They had no idea. None. How did this happen? How does a family not know their daughter runs a multi-million-dollar company? Simple. They never asked. They never cared. And I stopped trying to tell them. Let me take you back to where it all started. I was 17 when the dynamic shifted. Before that, I was just another kid in a wealthy family. Good grades, normal relationship with my parents and younger sister. We weren't perfect, but we were fine. Then, my dad's company went through a rough patch. Not broke, we were still rich. But there was stress, budget tightening, image management. And somehow, during that year, a narrative formed. Olivia was the golden child with the bright future, and I was. The practical one. The helper. The one who didn't need as much attention. It started small. Olivia got the bigger room when we renovated. Made sense. She was younger. She'd be home longer. Fine. Then it was. Emma, can you handle Thanksgiving dinner this year? Olivia has exams and you're so good at cooking. I was good at cooking. I liked it, actually. So I said yes. Then it became every holiday, every dinner party, every family gathering. By the time I was 20, the pattern was set. Olivia was the star. I was the stagehand. When I graduated college with a degree in hospitality management, my parents threw me a small dinner at home. When Olivia graduated 2 years later with a degree in communications, they rented out a country club ballroom for 200 guests. When I got my first job as an assistant event coordinator, my mother said, "That's nice, dear. Very practical." When Olivia got her first job as a junior copywriter, my father threw a celebration dinner and invited his entire golf club to announce that his daughter was starting her career in advertising. I saw the pattern. I understood it. And somewhere around age 23, I made a decision. I would build something so big, so successful, that they'd have to see me. But I'd do it quietly, without their help, because I needed to prove, to them, to myself, that I was worth more than they'd decided I was. So I started Apex Event Designs in my tiny studio apartment with $5,000 I'd saved from working double shifts at a hotel. I didn't tell my family. When they asked what I was doing, I said, event coordination stuff, freelance. They heard unemployed with a hobby. I let them think it. Over the next 8 years, while my family treated me like their personal chef and house manager, I was building an empire. I worked 80-hour weeks. I hustled. I networked. I delivered perfect events that got me referrals and reputation. I hired talented people who'd been overlooked like me. I reinvested every penny. The company grew. And grew. I moved into a beautiful 2-bedroom condo in Manhattan. My mother assumed I was renting a studio and probably struggling with rent. I bought a Tesla. She thought it was leased. I traveled to Paris, Tokyo, Dubai for client meetings. She thought I was taking little trips to clear my head because I still hadn't found my direction. The assumption was so complete, so total, that they never questioned it. And I never corrected them. Why? Pride, maybe. Spite, definitely. But also something deeper. I wanted them to see me without me having to beg for it. I wanted them to finally ask about my life instead of assuming they already knew. They never did. At family dinners, the conversation was always about Olivia, her campaigns, her clients, her brilliant career in advertising. My father would beam with pride. Olivia just landed the Morrison Hotels account, 6 figures. That's my girl. Meanwhile, I'd catered a corporate event for Morrison Hotels' parent company the month before, for $500,000. But nobody asked me about my work. When family friends would ask what I was up to, my mother would jump in before I could speak. Emma does some event planning here and there. Nothing formal. She's still figuring things out. At 31 years old, as a CEO of a thriving company. The worst part? They genuinely believed they were being kind. In their minds, they were protecting me from embarrassment. Poor Emma, who couldn't quite get her life together, like her successful younger sister. So when my mother called that Tuesday night and demanded I cook for Olivia's networking dinner, it wasn't unusual. It was just the latest in a 14-year pattern of being invisible, except when they needed something. But this time was different. This time I had something they didn't know about, something huge. The Meridian hospitality contract wasn't just big, it was career-defining, exclusive event planning and catering rights for all 12 of their luxury properties across the US. 3 years guaranteed. Renewable for 5 more. It would double my company's revenue and put us on the national map. Rebecca Winters had been courting me personally for this deal. She'd seen my work at a charity gala in Manhattan and had been impressed. You create experiences, not just events, she'd told me. That's rare. The final contract meeting was Thursday morning in Miami. Non-negotiable timing, because Rebecca was flying back to London Thursday night. Miss this meeting, lose the contract. Simple as that. I looked at my phone. At the text my mother had just sent with the menu for Olivia's dinner. Appetizers, prosciutto-wrapped figs, truffle arancini, seared scallops with mango salsa. First course, butternut squash bisque. Second course, arugula salad with candied pecans and goat cheese. Main, herb-crusted beef tenderloin, garlic mashed potatoes, roasted Brussels sprouts, honey-glazed carrots. Dessert, chocolate lava cakes, creme brulee, fresh berry tart. It was an ambitious menu. Would take 2 full days to prep and execute properly. And it was for Thursday night. exactly when I was supposed to be celebrating the biggest deal of my career. My phone buzzed again. Olivia this time. Mum told me you're cooking Thursday. Thank God. I need this dinner to be perfect. These people could change my whole career. Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. As if I was some amateur who might accidentally poison her guests. I sat down on my bed, surrounded by half-packed luggage, and felt something crack inside me. 14 years. 14 years of being treated like the family servant while my accomplishments went unseen and unacknowledged. How many times had I cooked elaborate meals while Olivia entertained in designer dresses? How many times had I spent holidays in the kitchen while she worked the room? How many times had my parents introduced her as our daughter, the advertising executive, while introducing me as our other daughter, Emma? I pulled out my laptop and opened my company dashboard. Apex event, design stats glowed on the screen. Annual revenue, 8.4 million. Employees, 63 properties, 4 locations. Current contracts, 127 active. Upcoming Meridian Hospitality, 3.2 million. I wasn't struggling. I wasn't figuring things out. I was a successful CEO who'd built something real, and I was done hiding it to make them comfortable. My phone rang again. Mum, of course. Did you get the menu? She asked. I forgot to mention, one of the guests is Rebecca Winters. She's the CEO of Meridian Hotels or something. Very important client of Olivia's. She's flying in from London just for this dinner. Can you imagine? My blood ran cold. What did you just say? Rebecca Winters. She's apparently a huge deal in the hotel industry. Olivia's been trying to get a meeting with her for months. This dinner is Olivia's big chance to pitch Meridian on a major advertising overhaul. We need everything to be perfect. Rebecca Winters. My Rebecca Winters. The CEO I was supposed to meet in Miami on Thursday morning was going to be at my parents' house Wednesday night. The universe had just handed me the most insane coincidence imaginable. Emma, are you there? Yeah, I said slowly. I'm here. So you'll come? I looked at my flight confirmation. Departure, 7 p.m. tomorrow. Arrival in Miami, 10 p.m. Thursday morning meeting at 9 a.m. If I went to my parents' house, I'd miss my flight. Miss the meeting, lose the contract. If I went to Miami, my family would lose their minds. Olivia's dinner would be a disaster, and Rebecca would see my family's dysfunction firsthand. Or an idea started forming. A wild, potentially disastrous, absolutely perfect idea. Mom, I said carefully, I need to ask you something. This Rebecca Winters, have you mentioned me to her at all? Why would I mention you? Just wondering. Emma, focus. Are you coming or not? Because if you're not, I need to start calling caterers, and nobody good will be available on this short notice. Nobody good. As if I wasn't running one of the top event companies in the region. I made my decision. I can't make it, Mum. I have a prior commitment. I can't break. Silence. Then, what? I have a business obligation in Miami. It's been scheduled for months. A business obligation. Her voice dripped with sarcasm. Emma, what business? Your little side projects don't compare to your sister's career. Actually, I said, my voice steady, my business is doing just fine. This is ridiculous. You're being selfish and petty. After everything we've done for you. What exactly have you done for me, Mom? More silence. You fed me and housed me, sure. But when's the last time you asked about my life, my work, my dreams? When's the last time you introduced me as something other than Emma, who helps out? Don't you dare guilt trip me. We've supported you through every one of your little phases. I'm not in a phase. I'm a CEO. She actually laughed. A CEO of what? That's what I've been trying to tell you for years, but you've never listened. Emma, enough with the drama. Are you coming or not? I looked at my packed suitcase. At my laptop with Rebecca's email still glowing on the screen. At the life I'd built in complete silence while my family dismissed me as a failure. No, I said firmly. I'm not coming. Good luck with the dinner. If you do this, if you abandon your family when we need you, there will be consequences. I understand. Don't call us for Christmas, or Thanksgiving, or anything else. You're making your choice. I am, I said. For once, I'm choosing myself. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing, but I felt something else too. Freedom. For the first time in 14 years, I'd said no. My phone immediately exploded with texts. Mom, I can't believe your selfishness. Olivia, you're ruining my career. I will never forgive you for this. Dad, your mother is very upset. Please reconsider. Olivia again. Rebecca Winters is going to think we're a joke. Thanks a lot. I turned off my phone, walked to my closet, and pulled out my nicest suit. The black Armani I'd bought after closing my first $1 million deal. Tomorrow, I'd fly to Miami. Thursday morning, I'd meet with Rebecca Winters in a professional setting, where I was CEO Emma Harrison of Apex Event Designs, not Emma who helps out. And my family would have their dinner party without me. Without the chef they'd taken for granted. Without the daughter they'd never bothered to really see. What would happen at that dinner? Would they scramble to find a replacement? Would they order takeout? Would Rebecca notice the chaos? I didn't know. What I did know was this. I was done being invisible. Done hiding my success to protect their egos. Done playing small so Olivia could feel big. I zipped my suitcase closed and set it by the door. Tomorrow, everything would change. And my family had no idea what was coming. The flight to Miami was supposed to feel liberating. Instead, I spent the entire 3 hours staring out the window, my stomach twisted in knots, wondering if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life. My phone was still off. I couldn't bear to see the messages that were undoubtedly piling up. Part of me wanted to turn it on, to apologize, to say I'd made a terrible error and would drive straight to Westchester from the airport. But I didn't. The taxi from Miami International to the Meridian Oceanfront Resort took 40 minutes through palm-lined streets that should have felt exotic and exciting. Instead, they felt like the distance between who I'd been and who I was trying to become. The resort was stunning. Glass and steel and infinity pools that seemed to pour directly into the Atlantic. My room, a junior suite on the 14th floor, had floor-to-ceiling windows with views that belonged on a postcard. There was champagne waiting on ice with a handwritten note on resort letterhead. Miss Harrison, welcome to Meridian Oceanfront. We're honored to host you. Looking forward to tomorrow's partnership discussion. Rebecca Winters. I set down my bags and stared at that note for a long time. Partnership discussion. Not a meeting, not a pitch. A partnership. Rebecca Winters saw me as an equal, a peer. Someone worth flying across an ocean to sit down with. My family saw me as the help. I pulled out my laptop and forced myself to review tomorrow's presentation one more time. But my mind kept drifting back to Westchester, to what was probably happening right now. It was 11 p.m. Miami time, which meant it was midnight in New York. The dinner party was tomorrow. Well, technically today, now. Wednesday evening, less than 24 hours away. Had my mother found a replacement caterer? Had she convinced someone to take a last-minute booking for an elaborate 7-course dinner? Unlikely. Any caterer worth their salt was booked solid this time of year. Corporate holiday parties, family gatherings, end-of-year celebrations, December was our industry's busiest season. I knew this because I'd turned down 6 requests this week alone. Apex Event Designs was fully booked through New Year's. My mother had no idea she was asking me to drop $1 million contract to provide services that would cost her $15,000 if she hired my company. The irony was almost funny. Almost. I finally turned on my phone at 1 a.m. and immediately regretted it. 47 missed calls, 63 text messages. I scrolled through them, my chest tightening with each one. Mom, I've called 8 catering companies. Everyone is booked. You've ruined this. Olivia, I hope whatever business trip you're on is worth destroying my career. Dad, Emma, your mother is having a breakdown. Please call. Olivia, Rebecca Winters' assistant just confirmed she's attending. 28 people are coming. And we have no food. Mum, I'm calling your Aunt Susan to cook. She's 74 years old with arthritis, but at least she understands family loyalty. Aunt Susan? They were going to make my elderly aunt cook for 28 people rather than hire professionals. Another text from Olivia. Mum found some catering company willing to do it for $8,000. $8,000, Emma. That's coming out of my bonus. $8,000. That was actually cheap for last-minute service. They must have found someone desperate for the booking. The texts kept coming, getting progressively more unhinged. Mom. The caterer just sent their menu options. Everything is ordinary, nothing impressive. Rebecca Winters is going to think we're mediocre. Olivia, why are you doing this to me? What did I ever do to you? That message hit differently. What did she do to me? Everything and nothing. Olivia hadn't set out to make me invisible. She just accepted it. Thrived in it even. She'd let our parents build her up by tearing me down and never once questioned if that was okay. I typed out a response 3 times and deleted it 3 times. What could I possibly say? Sorry. But I'm in Miami signing a contract worth more than you'll make in 10 years. Actually, I'm a CEO, and I've been hiding it because you've all been too self-absorbed to notice. I'm done being your servant. None of it felt right. So I said nothing. Instead, I opened my email and found a message from my assistant, Marcus. Boss, I know you're in meeting mode, but FYI, someone named Olivia Harrison has been calling the office repeatedly, asking if we can cater a dinner tomorrow night in Westchester. I told her we're fully booked, and she said, I'm Emma Harrison's sister. Surely you can make an exception. I explained that we don't have any Emmas working here. She got very upset and hung up. Should I be concerned? Oh God. Olivia had called my company, trying to book me to cook for her dinner party, without realizing it was my company. I wrote back, not to worry. Family drama. Do not take the booking even if she calls back offering double rates. I'll explain later. Marcus responded immediately, even though it was 1 a.m. Got it. Also, the Forbes journalist emailed asking about your origin story for the feature. They want to know if you had family support when starting Apex. I've been dodging the question. How honest do you want me to be? Forbes. Right. The feature article about rising entrepreneurs that was supposed to publish next week. I'd done the interview 6 weeks ago, carefully dancing around questions about my family. The journalist, a sharp woman named Kate Chen, had picked up on my evasiveness. Most successful young CEOs I interview either had family money behind them, or they love telling the bootstrap story, she'd said. You're avoiding both narratives. Why? I'd changed the subject. Now I wrote back to Marcus. Tell Kate she can be honest. My family doesn't know about Apex. They think I'm unemployed. She can mention that if she wants. It felt reckless typing those words. Once they were in print, there would be no hiding anymore. Good. I was done hiding. I finally fell asleep around 3 a.m., my phone buzzing with incoming messages I refused to read. Wednesday morning arrived with brutal Miami sunshine that felt almost offensive given my mood. I had a full day to kill before tomorrow's meeting with Rebecca. The original plan had been to relax, maybe explore the resort, get my head in the game. Instead, I spent 4 hours in the business center compulsively checking my phone for updates from Westchester. The texts had slowed down, which somehow felt worse than the bombardment. Like they'd given up on me completely. At 2 p.m. Miami time, 5 p.m. in New York, my father called. I almost didn't answer, but something about seeing Dad on the screen, he so rarely called directly, made me pick up. Emma! His voice sounded tired, defeated. Hi, Dad. Your mother won't speak to me. Olivia locked herself in her room. The caterer just sent over food for 40 people instead of 28 and is refusing to take it back without an additional fee. This dinner is in 3 hours and it's already a disaster. I waited. I'm not calling to guilt you, he continued. Which meant he absolutely was. I'm calling because I realized something. You said you're a CEO. Of what? My heart started pounding. Dad? Just tell me, please. What business do you run that's so important you'd miss your sister's career-defining moment? Career-defining. Olivia's dinner party was career-defining. But my actual multi-million-dollar contract wasn't. I own an event planning and catering company, I said quietly. Apex Event Designs. We have 4 locations and 63 employees. Silence. What? I've owned it for 8 years. We did 8.4 million in revenue last year. More silence. I could hear him breathing. 8. Emma, that's not possible. You've been unemployed. I've never been unemployed, Dad. You all just assumed I was, because I didn't work a traditional 9-to-5 job. Nobody ever asked for details. But your apartment, your car. You thought I was barely scraping by. I know, I own my apartment. I bought my car with cash. I travel for business, not to clear my head. I've been trying to tell you all for years, but you weren't interested in listening. I heard him sit down, or maybe collapse. Hard to tell through the phone. Does your mother know? No. Does Olivia? No. Emma, if this is true. It's true, Dad. Why would I lie about this? Then why? His voice broke slightly. Why didn't you just tell us? And there it was. The question I'd been asking myself for 8 years. I tried, I said. And I was surprised to hear my own voice shaking. Remember 3 years ago when I mentioned closing a big client deal? Mom immediately started talking about Olivia's energy drink campaign. Remember when I said I was expanding to a second location? You asked if I meant I was getting a second part-time job. I don't remember that. I know. That's the problem. You don't remember because you weren't listening. None of you were. You'd already decided who I was. Poor Emma who can't get her life together. And nothing I said could change that narrative because you weren't actually hearing me. Silence again. Then, the business trip you're on now, what is it? I'm finalizing a $3.2 million contract with Meridian Hospitality Group. 3-year deal, exclusive event planning for all their US properties. It's the biggest deal of my career. Meridian? Rebecca Winters' company? Yes. The same Rebecca Winters who's coming to dinner tonight? Yes. Oh my God. I heard him stand up, heard him walking. Emma, you have to tell me the truth. Is this some kind of revenge? Did you plan this? Plan what? I didn't know Rebecca would be at your dinner until Mom told me yesterday. That's just cosmic timing. But you could have told us then. You could have explained. Would you have believed me? I asked. Or would you have accused me of lying to make myself feel important? He didn't answer, which was answer enough. Dad, I have to go. I have a prep meeting for tomorrow. Wait. Emma, your mother is going to have a heart attack when she finds out. And Olivia. That's not my problem anymore. How can you say that? We're family. Family asks about each other's lives. Family celebrates each other's success. Family doesn't assume the worst and refuse to listen when you try to tell them otherwise. We made mistakes. You made choices for 14 years, and now I'm making mine. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking so badly I had to put the phone down. That's when I noticed the email that had just come through, from Rebecca Winters herself. Subject line, "Quick favor?" My stomach dropped. I opened it. Emma, I hope you're settling in well at the resort. I have an odd request. I'm attending a dinner party tonight in Westchester. Small world, it's near where I grew up. And the hosts are apparently in a bit of a crisis. The original caterer fell through. I know it's terribly last minute and completely unprofessional of me to ask, but is there any chance Apex has someone who could help? Even just consultation? The hostess is quite frantic, and I'd like to help if possible. No pressure whatsoever if you can't. See you tomorrow morning. Rebecca. I read it 3 times to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. Rebecca Winters was asking me to help save my family's dinner party. Without knowing they were my family. The universe had officially lost its mind. I sat there for 10 minutes, staring at that email, my mind spinning through the implications. If I helped, I'd be saving Olivia's event and letting my family off the hook. They'd never know how close they came to disaster. Never learn their lesson. If I didn't help, Rebecca would witness the chaos firsthand. She'd see my family's dysfunction, their poor planning, their entitlement. But she'd also think I was petty for not helping when asked directly by a client. Unless an idea started forming. A wild idea. An idea so potentially catastrophic, it almost felt perfect. I opened my laptop and pulled up my company's operations dashboard. Found my best crisis manager, a woman named Gabriela Santos who could turn disasters into triumphs. Then I made a call. Gabriela, it's Emma. How would you feel about taking a last-minute job tonight in Westchester? Full emergency rates, double overtime for the whole team. Tonight. Boss, we're slammed. I know, but this is special. I need our absolute A-team. Marcus as operations lead, Chef Jerome on kitchen, you coordinating. Premium everything. Spare no expense. What's the event? Private dinner party. 28 guests. The client is complicated. How complicated? The client is my family. They don't know I own Apex. And one of the dinner guests is Rebecca Winters from Meridian. Silence, then, "Boss, are you serious right now?" "Completely. This is either genius or insane." "Probably both. Can you do it?" "Hell yes." "This is going to be legendary. One condition. Under no circumstances does anyone mention my name. If asked who owns the company, be vague. Say the CEO prefers to stay out of the spotlight. Can you do that?" "Absolutely." "But Emma? What's the endgame here?" "Good question. Honestly, I have no idea. I just know I'm done hiding." "I'm in. Send me the details." I emailed Rebecca back. "Rebecca, I'd be happy to help. I'm having my operations team reach out to the host directly. Consider it an early partnership favor. See you tomorrow." Then I forwarded all the contact information to Gabriella and sat back to watch what would happen next. The texts started coming in around 6 p.m. Miami time, 9 p.m. in New York. "Mom, a company called Apex Event Designs just called offering to handle the dinner. Premium service, everything handled, no charge." "Did you arrange this?" I didn't respond. "Olivia, some fancy event company is here setting up. They brought their own equipment, linens, everything. It's like magic. Did Dad hire them?" Then, at 9:47 p.m., Marcus, via encrypted message. "Boss, we're live. Your family has no idea. Your mum keeps asking how we heard about the crisis. Gabriella told her word travels fast in the industry. Chef Jerome is killing it. The food is spectacular. Rebecca Winters just arrived and complimented our team. This is wild." I sent back. "How does my family seem?" "Relieved. Confused. Your sister keeps trying to take credit for finding us. Your mum is still stressed, but the event is going perfectly. And Rebecca? She's chatting with everyone. Seems relaxed. She mentioned you to your sister, said she's excited to meet with the CEO of Apex tomorrow in Miami. What did Olivia say?" She got very quiet, then asked if Rebecca knew the CEO personally. Oh, this was delicious. At 11:30 p.m., Gabriella sent a photo. The finished dining room, candlelight, flowers. 28 guests seated at a perfectly appointed table with food that looked like art. My family's dinner was saved. By my company. Without them knowing. Then Rebecca emailed. "Emma, I don't know what strings you pulled, but the team from Apex is incredible. The hosts are overjoyed. You've earned serious goodwill here. This is exactly the kind of above and beyond service I want for Meridian. Can't wait to make this partnership official tomorrow." I smiled at my phone. Tomorrow I'd walk into that boardroom as CEO Emma Harrison. I'd sign the biggest contract of my career, and my family would still be completely in the dark. But not for long. At midnight, my phone rang. "Gabriella. Boss, you need to know something." "What happened?" "Rebecca just asked me who the CEO of Apex is. Really pressed me for information. She said something about interesting coincidences and asked if the CEO had any connection to the Harrison family." My heart stopped. "What did you tell her?" "I said the CEO values privacy and prefers to let the work speak for itself. But Emma? She knows something. She's too smart not to have put pieces together." "Did my family hear this conversation?" "No. Rebecca pulled me aside privately. But I think she's testing something. She asked if you'd be at tomorrow's meeting, and when I said yes, she smiled. Like she'd just solved a puzzle. After we hung up, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing. Tomorrow morning I'd walk into that boardroom. Rebecca would be there. And based on what Gabriella said, Rebecca had already figured out the connection. The question was, would she sign the contract knowing I'd essentially orchestrated this entire situation? Or would she think I was manipulative and walk away? I'd gambled everything on this moment. And in less than 12 hours, I'd know if I'd won or lost it all. I didn't sleep. At 5 a.m., I gave up pretending and went for a run along the beach. The Miami sunrise was gorgeous, pink and gold spilling across the Atlantic. But I barely noticed. My mind was a hurricane of what-ifs. What if Rebecca felt manipulated? What if she thought I'd orchestrated everything as some kind of test? What if the contract fell through because I'd been too clever for my own good? By 7 a.m., I was showered, dressed in my best suit, and reviewing my presentation for the 40th time. The numbers were solid. The portfolio was impressive. The proposal was airtight. But none of that would matter if Rebecca had lost trust in me. At 8:30 a.m., my phone rang. Marcus. Boss, you sitting down? My stomach dropped. What happened? Your sister just posted on LinkedIn. You need to see this. He sent me a screenshot. Olivia's post, written at 2 a.m. New York time, read, "Incredible evening hosting industry leaders at our family estate. Special thanks to the amazing team from Apex Event Designs, who pulled off a miracle with 24 hours notice. When you work with the best, magic happens. Grateful for partners who understand excellence. Event planning, one networking dinner, Meridian hospitality. There was a photo of the dining room, my team's work, with Olivia front and center, smiling like she'd arranged everything herself. She's taking credit," Marcus said. "For our work, for your company." I stared at that post, at my sister's face beaming with pride over an event she'd literally had nothing to do with, except almost ruining it. "How many likes?" I asked. 400 and climbing," Rebecca Winters commented. "What did she say?" "Just 3 words. Indeed. Quite magical." I read Rebecca's comment 5 times trying to decode the tone. Was it sincere? Sarcastic? A test? "Boss, what do you want me to do?" Marcus asked. "Nothing. Let it play out." "But she's literally stealing credit for—" "I know. But if I respond now, I tip my hand before I'm ready." "The meeting is in 30 minutes. Let's see what happens there first." After we hung up, I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at Olivia's post. She genuinely believed she'd found and hired Apex Event Designs, that she'd saved her own dinner through her connections and quick thinking. She had no idea she'd been rescued by the sister she'd dismissed as a failure. The irony was so thick I could barely breathe through it. At 8:45 a.m., I walked into the Meridian boardroom. It was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. A massive glass table, leather chairs that probably cost more than most people's cars. Rebecca was already there, standing by the window with a cup of coffee. She turned when I entered, and her expression was unreadable. "Emma." She extended her hand. "Good morning." "Good morning, Rebecca." We shook hands. Her grip was firm, professional, but her eyes were studying me in a way that made my skin prickle. "Please sit." She gestured to the table. "We have a lot to discuss." Her legal team arrived. 3 attorneys with briefcases full of contracts. Then her CFO, her VP of operations. Everyone looked polished and prepared. I set up my laptop and pulled up my presentation, trying to ignore the fact that my hands were shaking slightly. "Before we begin," Rebecca said, sitting down across from me, "I want to address something." "Here it comes." Last night's dinner in Westchester was remarkable. Your team saved what could have been a professional disaster for the hosts. I was very impressed. Thank you, my team is exceptional. They are. Which raises some interesting questions. She leaned back in her chair. How did you know to send your team there? I only emailed you the request around 6 p.m., and by 7 p.m. a full crew was on site with equipment, linens, food, everything. That's an impossible timeline, unless... She paused, letting the silence hang. Unless you already knew about the situation, I finished quietly. Yes. The room was so quiet I could hear the ocean through the windows. The hosts, Rebecca continued, were Margaret and Thomas Harrison. Your last name is also Harrison. Is that a coincidence? Every person in the room was staring at me now. I took a breath. No, it's not a coincidence. Margaret and Thomas are my parents. The dinner was at my childhood home. Rebecca's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. I see. And the younger woman, Olivia, who seems to think she hired your company. My sister, who has no idea you own Apex Event Designs. Correct. Fascinating. Rebecca stood up and walked back to the window. So let me make sure I understand. Your family was hosting a dinner party. They expected you to cook. You declined because you had this meeting with me. They scrambled to find help. I asked you for a favor. You sent your own company to save their event without telling them. And now your sister is on LinkedIn taking credit for finding and hiring you. When she laid it out like that, it sounded insane. That's inaccurate, I said. Why? Rebecca turned to face me. Why not just tell them who you are? And there it was, the question I'd been dreading. Because I said slowly, they've spent 14 years treating me like I'm unemployed and directionless. They've never asked about my work, never shown interest in my life. They decided who I was. Poor Emma who can't get it together. And nothing I said could change that narrative because they weren't listening. So this was revenge? No. I stood up too, meeting her eyes. This was boundaries. I wasn't going to abandon my career to play servant at their party. But I also didn't want their event to fail and harm your experience. So I found a middle ground that protected my business interests while ensuring you had a good evening. A middle ground that involved deceiving your entire family. I didn't deceive them. I just didn't correct their assumptions. There's a difference. Rebecca studied me for a long moment. Is there? My heart was pounding. This was it. The moment where I either lost everything or earned her respect. Rebecca, I said carefully, I built Apex from nothing. $5,000 and a dream. No family money. No connections. No name recognition. I chose to succeed without my family's help because I needed to prove, to them and to myself, that I was worth more than they decided I was. And now I'm here, in this room, about to sign the biggest deal of my career, and my family still has no idea who I am. That should tell you everything about why I made the choices I made. The room was silent, except for the sound of waves outside. Then Rebecca smiled. Actually smiled. That, she said, is exactly the kind of strategic thinking I want in a partner. I blinked. What? You protected your business. You maintained client relations. You set boundaries with toxic family dynamics. And you did it all while delivering exceptional work. She walked back to the table and sat down. Emma, I've been in business for 30 years. I've seen every kind of entrepreneur. The trust fund kids who think money solves everything. The hustlers who cut corners. The people pleasers who can't say no. She opened her briefcase and pulled out the contract. But I've rarely seen someone who understands that success isn't just about the work. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to be diminished by people who should support you. She slid the contract across the table. I want to partner with Apex Event Designs. 3 years, exclusive rights, $3.2 million. But I have one condition. My breath caught. What condition? Tell your family the truth. Today. I stared at her. Rebecca, I'm serious. I watched your mother complain about her disappointing daughter for 20 minutes last night before your team arrived. I watched your sister take credit for work she didn't do. And I'm watching you now, in this room, hiding behind professional boundaries because you're afraid of their reaction. I'm not afraid. You are. And I understand why. But Emma, you can't build an empire while living in hiding. It's not sustainable. Eventually, the truth comes out. And when it does, you want to control that narrative. She tapped the contract. Sign this. Take the deal, then go home and tell them who you really are. Not because you owe them anything, but because you deserve to be seen. My eyes were burning. I would not cry in this boardroom. What if they don't believe me? I asked quietly. Then you'll have this contract and the Forbes article as proof. Speaking of which, she pulled out her phone. Did you know the article publishes today at noon? I'd completely forgotten. The Forbes feature was going live in 3 hours. The headline, Rebecca continued, reading from her screen, is How Emma Harrison Built an $8 million Empire While Her Family Thought She Was Unemployed. It's already trending in advance. By tonight, your face will be on every business newsfeed in the country. Oh God. Your family is going to find out anyway, Rebecca said gently. The question is whether you want them to hear it from you or from the internet. She was right. Of course she was right. I picked up the pen, hand shaking, and signed the contract. Rebecca signed after me, then her attorneys, then her CFO. It was done. $3.2 million, 3 years. The deal of my life. Congratulations, partner, Rebecca said, shaking my hand. Now go handle your family. The Forbes article went live at exactly noon. I was in my hotel room, sitting on the bed with my laptop open, watching the notifications explode. The headline was brutal in its honesty. How Emma Harrison built an $8 million empire while her family thought she was unemployed. The article was everything I'd been afraid of and hoped for. Kate Chen had interviewed me, my employees, several clients, and, apparently, had done some digging into my family background. The opening paragraph made my stomach drop. Emma Harrison, 31, is the CEO of Apex Event Designs, a luxury event planning company with annual revenues exceeding $8.4 million. She employs 63 people across 4 locations and just signed a $3.2 million contract with Meridian Hospitality Group. But if you asked her family, they'd tell you she's unemployed and directionless because she's never corrected their assumption. It got worse. Or better, depending on perspective. Kate had interviewed former colleagues who described me as brilliant but invisible in her own family. She'd found social media posts from family gatherings where I was literally cropped out of photos or standing in the background. She'd even found Olivia's LinkedIn post from this morning and included a screenshot with the caption, Harrison's sister, recently took credit for hiring Apex Event Designs, not knowing she was crediting her own sister's company. The article ended with a quote from me that I barely remembered giving. Success doesn't require permission from people who've decided you'll fail. It requires you to stop waiting for their approval and build something they can't ignore. My phone started ringing immediately. Mom, Olivia, Dad, my aunt, family friends, unknown numbers. I ignored all of them and watched the article spread across social media like wildfire. Within an hour, it had been shared 12,000 times. Industry leaders were commenting. Business schools were requesting permission to use it as a case study. Event planning organizations were reaching out for speaking engagements. And my family was losing their minds. The texts came in a flood. Mum, Emma, what is this? Olivia, this is a lie. You can't possibly own Apex. I hired them. Dad, Emma, please call. Your mother fainted. Mom, this article is slander. I'm calling our attorney. Olivia, everyone is asking me why I didn't know my sister owned the company I praised. I look like an idiot. Mom, how dare you humiliate this family publicly? After everything we've done for you. I turned off my phone. Then I called Marcus. I need you to arrange something, a family meeting, tonight, at the Apex headquarters in Manhattan. You're going to tell them in person? I'm going to show them. Get the entire team there if they're available. I want my parents and Olivia to see exactly what they've been dismissing for 8 years. Boss, this is going to be legendary. Or it's going to be a complete disaster. Same thing sometimes. At 7 p.m., I stood in the main event space of Apex's Manhattan headquarters, our crown jewel location. The space was stunning, 20-foot ceilings, crystal chandeliers we'd designed custom, awards lining the walls, photos of events we'd executed for celebrities, politicians, Fortune 500 companies. My team was there, all 63 employees who could make it on short notice. Marcus, Gabriella, Chef Jerome, everyone who'd helped build this empire. And my family was about to walk through those doors. I'd sent them a formal message through my attorney. Emma Harrison, CEO of Apex Event Designs, requests your presence at company headquarters, 7 p.m. Your attendance is required to discuss recent public statements. The formal language was deliberate. This wasn't a family dinner. This was a business meeting. At 7:03 p.m., the elevator doors opened. My mother stepped out first, followed by Olivia and my father. They all looked shell-shocked. Mom's eyes scanned the space. The luxury, the professionalism, the clear markers of success. And her face went pale. Emma? Her voice was small. Welcome to Apex Event Designs, I said calmly. Let me introduce you to my team. I gestured to the assembled employees. This is Marcus, my COO. Gabriella, my crisis management director. You met her last night. Chef Jerome, my executive chef. And 60 other people who've helped build this company from the ground up. Olivia was staring at the wall of awards. This can't be real. It's very real. I walked to my office door and opened it. This is my office. Would you like to see inside? They followed me like zombies. My office was everything I'd dreamed of. Corner location. Windows overlooking Central Park. A desk made of reclaimed wood from a historic hotel we'd helped renovate. Shelves lined with industry awards and photos with clients. Mom sank into a chair without being invited. How long? 8 years. I started Apex when I was 23. But you thought I was unemployed. I know. I tried to tell you. Multiple times. You weren't interested in listening. Olivia was reading plaques on the wall. Event Planner of the Year 2021. Outstanding Service Award 2022. James Beard Award nominee 2023. She turned to me, her face a mixture of shock and something else. Hurt, maybe. Why didn't you tell us? I did tell you. You just never heard me because you'd already decided who I was. Dad was looking at a framed photo of me with the mayor. The business trip to Miami, that was a $3.2 million contract signing with Meridian Hospitality Group, Rebecca Winter's company. The same Rebecca who was at your dinner last night. Mom's head snapped up. Rebecca knows. Rebecca is my business partner now. We signed the contract this morning. But she was at our house. She saw. Mom stopped, realization dawning. The team that came to save the dinner. That was your team. Yes. You sent them. Rebecca asked me for help. I helped. Olivia pulled out her phone, looking at her LinkedIn post. I took credit for hiring you, for finding Apex, and you let me. What was I supposed to do? Olivia? Comment on your post saying, actually, that's my company, and you had no idea. That seemed cruel. Cruel. Her voice rose. What's cruel is letting me publicly humiliate myself. 400 people liked that post. Industry leaders commented. And now they're all going to know I was praising my own sister's company without knowing it. Maybe you should have asked more questions before taking credit for work you didn't do. She flinched like I'd slapped her. Mom stood up, her legs shaky. How much is this company worth? The company did $8.4 million in revenue last year. With the Meridian contract, we're projecting $14 million next year. She sat back down. Emma, Dad said quietly. Why didn't you use our connections? Our name? We could have helped you build this faster. Because I didn't want to owe you anything. I didn't want you to take credit. I wanted to prove that I could succeed without you deciding whether I was worthy. But we're your family. Family supports each other. Family asks about each other's lives. Family doesn't assign roles and refuse to see anything that doesn't fit the narrative. The room was silent except for the sound of my team working in the space beyond the office. For 14 years, I continued, my voice steady despite the emotions threatening to break through. You treated me like I was invisible, unless you needed something. You compared me to Olivia constantly. You made me feel small so she could feel big. And when I finally built something amazing, you couldn't see it because you were too busy looking down at me. Mom's eyes were filling with tears. I know you didn't mean to. That's what makes it worse. You weren't trying to hurt me. You genuinely believed I was a failure. And that belief was so strong that reality couldn't penetrate it. Olivia was crying now too. I'm sorry. Emma, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. You didn't know. Because you never asked. None of you did. Dad walked to the window, his back to us. What do you want from us now? What did I want? That was the question I'd been avoiding for months. Years, maybe. I want you to see me, I said finally. Not as the failure you decided I was. Not as the helpful daughter who cooks and stays in the background. As Emma Harrison, CEO. As someone who built something real and meaningful without your permission or support. And if we can do that? Mom asked. If we can change? I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw something I hadn't seen before. Regret. Genuine, painful regret. Then maybe we can rebuild, I said. But it has to be as equals. No more servant treatment. No more assumptions. No more me hiding who I am to make you comfortable. Deal, Dad said immediately, turning from the window. Whatever you need. Whatever it takes. Olivia wiped her eyes. Can I delete that LinkedIn post? Actually, I said, pulling out my phone, I have a better idea. I opened LinkedIn and typed a new post. My family just learned that I own Apex Event Designs, the company that saved their dinner party last week. For 8 years, I've built this company in silence while they assumed I was unemployed. Today, I'm done hiding. Success doesn't need permission. It needs courage. Grateful to my incredible team and to Rebecca Winters at Meridian Hospitality Group for seeing my worth when my family couldn't. Here's to being visible. Apps Event Designs, Adah Know Your Worth, Bach CEO. I attached a photo of myself in my office, surrounded by awards, with my team visible through the window behind me. Then I hit post. There, I said. Now everyone knows. No more secrets. No more hiding. Mum read the post on her phone, and fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. You really thought we didn't see you? You didn't see me, Mum. That's not a feeling. That's a fact. How do we fix this? I looked at my family, broken, shocked. Finally, seeing me after all these years, and felt something shift inside me. We start by telling the truth, I said. No more narratives, no more assumptions. We start by actually asking each other questions and listening to the answers. Dad nodded. Can we start now? Will you tell us about the company? About how you built all this? And for the first time in 14 years, they actually wanted to hear my story. So I told them. I told them about the $5,000 investment, about working 18-hour days, about the first client who took a chance on me, about the awards and the growth and the challenges and the victories. And they listened, really listened. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. That would take time, but it was a beginning. 3 months later, I hosted Thanksgiving at my apartment. But this time, I didn't cook. Apex catered the meal. My team delivered restaurant-quality food while I actually got to enjoy the holiday with my family. Mum and Dad spent an hour asking my employees questions about their work. Olivia interviewed Marcus for a PR campaign she was legitimately pitching to one of my clients. Over dessert, Mum raised her glass. I'd like to propose a toast. Everyone quieted. To Emma, who taught us that love isn't enough without respect. That family means seeing each other truly, not just conveniently. And that success doesn't need permission. It needs courage. She looked at me, eyes shining. We're sorry it took us so long to see you, but we see you now. And we're so proud. I raised my glass too, to new beginnings, and to boundaries that actually hold. We drank together, my family, my team, my chosen family, and for the first time in my life, I felt whole. Not because they'd finally acknowledged my success, but because I'd finally stopped needing them to. The Forbes article had been right. Success doesn't require permission from people who've decided you will fail. It requires you to stop waiting for their approval and build something they can't ignore. I built that something, and in the process, I built myself. My phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca. Saw your Thanksgiving post. Beautiful family. Even more beautiful boundaries. Proud to be your partner. I smiled and typed back. Thank you for pushing me to tell the truth. Changed everything. Her response came immediately. You changed everything. I just gave you permission to stop hiding. Now finish your wine and enjoy your family. The empire can wait until Monday. I looked around my apartment, at my family actually talking to each other instead of performing for each other, at my team laughing with my parents, at Olivia helping clear plates like a normal person instead of a princess. It wasn't perfect. We still had work to do, therapy sessions to attend, patterns to unlearn. But for the first time in 14 years, I wasn't invisible. And that was everything. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself isn't success. It's the courage to be seen for who you really are, even when the people who should love you have decided you're someone else entirely. Emma stopped hiding. She stopped shrinking. She stopped waiting for permission to be extraordinary. And in doing so, she didn't just save her family relationships. She saved herself. What would you do if your family couldn't see your worth? Would you keep hiding, or would you demand to be visible? Drop your thoughts below. This is a conversation worth having.